So
Okay.
we are live.
Hi.
Welcome to the live stream. So let me see how we can get the link to share with people. Okay. Can someone check on their phones
WhatsApp, yeah.
from my YouTube? Yeah, no, from my YouTube to see if we are live. I believe we are.
Okay, let me check on the laptop I'm using here.
Yeah.
And it's Thrive Careers, right?
Yes, Thrive.
You don't need a
Career
second job.
Podcast.
You just need to know.
Thrive Careers. Okay. Hi, Aanu. I don't think we have made
No,
our
we
common
haven't.
conversations. Hi. Nice to meet you in person.
How do you see live?
That's the thing.
Oh, it's live. It's showing
Yes,
live.
we
Let
are.
me see. Yeah, we are.
Oh, we
Yeah.
are. Okay.
Okay, so we just share, copy that link, right?
I've confirmed it too, and all the checks and balances we're doing is all live too, but it's fine.
It's okay.
So I'm dropping, yeah, I mean, I am dropping the link in our public chat. Can someone send the chat?
On YouTube. Or where?
In the Riverside Studio chat.
Oh, yeah. I think some things has dropped. Public chat. Yeah. You've sent it twice, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, we are good. Have you seen the link? If you want to drop the
No.
link to
Yeah.
I've seen it in our chat. Okay, so let me just drop that.
Is there a way to edit this out?
a way to edit this
Edit
out.
all of this. Yeah, before
No,
posting.
it's out. It's live.
Okay.
Okay, works
All
perfect.
right, everyone. I am super excited. I mean, I can't believe it's been 1 year, right? Just like yesterday when we all came together and had this career lessons from 2024. And boy, it's been such a ride in 2025, right? It's been an
Yes.
amazing, amazing year. I remember some of the conversations we had then, some of the things we're leaving behind, and how we're looking forward into 2025. And now we are looking into 2026. I was telling someone the other day that when I was younger, I felt like, between the difference between or the distance between 1 year to the other was, pretty longer. But the the older I get, it looks like it's started to shrink. It's like I just closed my eyes in January and boom, we're in December. And you know what the person told me? He said, because when you were a child, you didn't have responsibilities. You weren't thinking about, so many things. Everything was on your parents. All you
Right.
needed to do was to just make your demands and, you just get those things. So you were just enjoying yourself. But now you have bills to pay. You have
Right.
goals that you've set for yourself, and then you're racing against all of those things. And you're like, where did time go? So that's what changed. But I'm really I'm happy that we are here. to discuss all of the amazing career lessons that we've heard, that we've learned, from the outgoing year. So we cannot carry all of those mistakes into the new year. And I'm super glad that I have these amazing women in the house today. And before I get so ahead of myself, because these days I get so excited, I'd just like to, for my beautiful guests to introduce themselves briefly, because again, let's quickly apologize to people who are joining us for joining a bit late. I'm sure you find us doing all of those tech ish. And I guess people are beginning to get used to it, because no matter how much you put in to ensure that you have everything intact, somehow something will just happen to unsettle you. But the most important thing is that we are here unsettled, and we're here to have this conversation. So over to you, Ifunanya. Let our people meet you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey. Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am Hephzibah Ifunanya Obiorah, and I'm an AI engineer and consultant. However, people who know me or who knew me from my past life know me to be a finance professional. But I began to ask myself questions about what the long run looked like for me. How best do I leverage my talents, my special skills in order to win in this career game? And I figured, why not use AI to do most of my tasks? I began to do it. And then with time, I was able to use AI to build my first credit analysis app. So I was like, oh, I could do this with ChatGPT then. It's time to pivot fully into AI engineering, and voila, here I am.
Here
To
we
make it
are.
very short,
Amazing.
thank
I love
you.
it. I love that pivot, and we're going to get into it very soon. But just before we get into that, Owolabi, do you want to introduce yourself? I know you don't need any introduction on this platform, but for the people who might be joining us for the first time, please.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, I think my career started off, doing something that I found my hands to do, which was project management. And at the time, that was not the plan. I had other plans, but just following what would I call it, the wheel of life, and all the opportunities that have come my way. Now I have 10 plus years experience as a business analyst, and I've done most of those years in the financial services sector. And I've also been a project manager, and I've tried to be industry certified as well to get some certifications to back up my credibility. And I would say that for me, just giving a summary, that last year when I came on the platform, I think my lesson for last year was growth, and it was really a transformative year for me. And 2025 was, now you've got all the knowledge, the theoretical knowledge, now put it to practice. That was what 2025 was for me, and I'm happy to be back here again. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much, ladies. And one thing that I heard from both of you guys is 2025 was that year where you hit the ground running. It looks like all we've been doing all of these years was preparing, for the big stage, and now we have it. And 2025 gave us that opportunity, to show the world the stuff we're made of. I can't begin to explain, all of the amazing victories that I myself, I've been able to achieve in 2025. And I'm just grateful to God that we are here. And because we know that the path of the just, we're all Christians here, keeps getting brighter and
Right
brighter.
and
We
right
know that
there.
2026 is definitely going to be more
Mm.
amazing. And that's why we are here to share our journey so far. So, everyone, if you're joining us and you'd like us to know that you're on this platform, you can leave us a comment in the comment box. Would read it and would also get to Q&A in a bit. But we're getting into our conversation now. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
So,
Born ready, right? All
Yes.
right. So if
right.
you had to name, and I'm going to start with Ifunanya again. All right.
Okay.
If you had to name the biggest lesson 2025 taught you about careers in one sentence, what would it be?
I'll just say it in one word: alignment.
Hmm.
Alignment. Because one word could actually be a sentence, right? Like come or go. It's actually all right. So alignment, or I'll say, if I were to make it a sentence, align, right? Because many people, depending on what their faith is, always miss the mark when it comes to their careers because we are often chasing the best paying job in this circle of 9 to 5. So when you finish school, you just apply to different jobs. The first one that accepts you and pays you well, you just go there. Then with time, you apply to other ones, hoping to, increase the salary and all that. But in the middle of all of that, we forget that the first jobs or the second jobs we took were basically to survive, right? And to put food on our tables. We have now grown more skills. We have come to find out what our natural talents are, where we best perform, and all of that. But somehow we just forget to build our own brands, right? I'm just going to put it out there that if everyone were to chase a typical 9 to 5, the jobs wouldn't be enough for everybody. So while you're doing that 9 to 5, ask yourself again, where do my best skills apply? What could I do on my own? If I were to build a company that will be successful, what will it be? I can assure you that even if you build it as a side hustle, in addition to your regular 9 to 5, you derive so much joy doing that. And who knows, that could become your full time hustle, right? I like a guy who says it best, Steve Harvey. The writer of, I think, what's the title of his book again? Something about what do
Right?
men want or something like that. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Steve Harvey, who is now a very successful businessman, he hit rock bottom in his life when he couldn't get any more jobs and he was broke and all that. So he started saying, you know what, I can do comedy. So he stepped up. Of course, people laughed at him at the beginning, but then he kept practicing and he became very good. Now he has shows, he has written books that have become, movies and stuff. So I think that before waiting to hit rock bottom, we should just take a pause. This is the second to last day of 2025. Today is
Mhm.
30th. Do a retreat with yourself. Tell yourself, how best do I align with my talent, with my natural abilities, then begin to build something, no matter how small. I'll tell you another guy who's doing it very good. Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett, right?
Mhm.
So he just said one day he just wanted to grab some mic in his father's garage and then put a sock over it to, minimize noise and all of that. He just started making it. And today his podcast ranks, I think, number 2 in the world. And then at some point he got number 1 for something, and all of that. Just by stepping out of your usual 9 to 5, build something else, I would say. I mean, that's also how I built my AI platform, because I was like, and then all of this is happening just 6 months. That platform isn't up to 6 months old. And then I
Hmm.
already have on it about 430 subscribers and all that. I'm like, so many people, even
Amazing.
people I respect, my former CEOs and all, they just want to see what I'm writing. I'm like, oh God, I have to step it up a notch because I'm writing for CEOs as well. So 2025 has taught me to align what your spirit is telling you to do, that particular idea, that gift, whatever it is, start it. Right, no matter how small, add it to your 9 to 5, then eventually you'd become more comfortable and know where best to play. So again, alignment.
I
Thank
love it.
you.
Thank you so much, Ifunanya. At some point, we all have to take a chance, on ourselves. If we never
So,
do, think about the greatest organizations you can think of today. Somebody had to take a chance at some point. And that's why most of us today are longing to work with them. So, what if you're that person? I'll just leave it at that. So, over to you, Anu. Thank you so much, Ifunanya.
I felt like she took the word right out of my mouth.
oh,
Actually, I have another word for alignment, which was clarity. For me, 2025 taught me that clarity beats effort. Like working hard without direction, it just delays the impact that you will eventually have. And for me, 2025 was that year where I understood that seniority is less about title and more about how clearly you think, how clearly you can decide and take responsibilities when things are messy or not going your way. And that kind of stopped, it helped me to operate differently because then I stopped saying yes to everything that looked impressive. And I became more selective with the things that I did, the projects that I worked on, even conversations that I had. And I prioritized work that compounds my skills, that brings out my visibility more and my confidence. I moved from doing more, just getting busy to doing what actually matters in 2025. I stopped waiting for assurance, and started just, trusting my own judgment. And I think that in doing the things that I felt mattered more, I began to get more clarity on what I was meant to be doing. And it also helped me to ask better questions, especially in sessions. And then it helps me to make more clear decisions, I would say. So I would say clarity. That's the word for me.
Amazing, amazing. And I have a follow-up question to this, and I really love that word you chose, clarity. I mean, both of you, alignment, clarity, powerful. If you would ever listen to any successful person in life, I don't care whatever platform, these two words would definitely come along if they're telling you the secrets. There would be that point where you come to that alignment with yourself. This is where your natural strengths are. And then you move forward to clarity, being able to streamline as you go, and then being able to specify and focus on your journey. Like, I like this very popular quote that where focus goes, energy flows. If you're drawn into different directions, you don't really know where, but with clarity comes that laser focus, and this is what I'm supposed to do. And I think that also happened to me in 2025 when I focused on my podcast, and the result is evident. That's what happens when we choose a niche. I mean, look at you. You shared your story how in less than 6 months you've built something for yourself, and Anu's story as well, being able to ask the right questions, being able to where focus goes, energy flows. And I really loved what you both have shared. But like I said, I have a follow-up question before we go to the next one. So what changed as a result of this one word that you guys have been able to sort of and capture your entire year? You've been able to wrap your whole year around. What changed? Just one thing, so we can jump to the next thing. What changed for you?
Okay, I'm laughing because it's beginning to sound like the stories of our lives. Because it's like, asking from one thing to so you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. So,
Exactly.
about what changed? Let's start by talking about capping in a row. Like when you hit the ceiling or whatever growth means for your 9 to 5. So you realize that suppose you stop getting promoted or someone begins to say, oh, you have to do this. Someone calls it, I love I think her name is Chimeze, right? Afropolitan podcast. Chika Wazi is her name, right? She's a typical Nigerian who writes a lot about, and this is in the US. So it's not just about Africa or any other country, or any other continent. So she says that you get to that point in your career where the goalpost now keeps moving. So you do something great, and instead of getting promoted, they tell you, "Oh, wait, I mean, there's just one slot. Or maybe if you just take this extra course, if you improve your leadership skills, you know that they're just telling you stories, right? And they're just moving the goalpost. And many
Mm,
of us in our careers, in our 9 to 5s, get to that point. The
mm,
question is, what are you going to do about it? Because
mm.
then they begin to tell you, oh, if you're really that good at your job, I'm sure your boss will understand. They'll give you that promotion. Hello. What if they just favor someone else, or there's this quota in the organization that
That you're not aware of.
when 12 people are promoted this year, nobody else will be promoted. So you just fall into those artificial structures that no longer serve you, right? So that is what changed for me. I stopped saying, I'm gonna work harder. When you now start working over the weekends, I even worked on a sick bed with my baby and she was bleeding. That's why
Wow.
this is so personal for me. That's why I call it the story of my life. And
Hmm.
after working on that sick bed for like 3 days, because I was trying to organize this program for one of the organizations I worked for and all that, instead of appreciating it, they say, they would think it was mundane. Hello,
Hmm.
mundane. It was a live program. I had to structure surveys on that bed. So I just saw that they kept moving the goalpost. So I said to myself, enough. I like to say this, so I'm going to take charge of my life and I'm gonna promote myself. Right. So I just went in there, started doing something else. Because when I have new subscribers, I know I'm growing. So I go out and I buy myself some Cold Stone ice cream. Yeah. I am promoting myself. And when I engage in the first app I built, I kind of I think I sold it to a set of people and then I put the price and then they paid me. So I'm like, Good. I'm getting a reward for my hard work. So that's it. What's going to change is that, first of all, you stop chasing moving goals and then begin to reward yourself for your hard work. Don't let anyone deceive you. And then don't think that it's just you. Sometimes you think, oh, it's just me. I think it's just in my head. It's not in your head. It is happening. You are being stagnated by the system, by whoever is supposed to give you these grades. So decide to promote yourself. Either you move on to a new job, but more importantly, build something for yourself, because that will last forever. If you keep switching jobs, that's good, but if you build something for yourself, that one is just yours forever. Thank you,
Amazing,
Jumoke.
amazing. Thank you so much, Ifunanya, and I love that. Until we get to some of those rock bottoms or some of those points, we really don't know, what we should be doing. And I'm glad that was like an eye-opening experience for you. And then voila, here you are today. You've built something for yourself that you're proud of. All right, over to you, Anu. We have a comment in the section. Thank you, Precious,
I feel
for
like yeah,
letting us know
you can
you're
tell
here.
that.
All right.
So for me, like I said earlier, I feel like I answered that question when I spoke earlier, that I stopped doing everything. I stopped saying yes to everything. I stopped overwhelming myself with trying to do everything, and I just focused on what really mattered. And because I realized that doing more does not really hard work without direction. Like I said, it just delays your impact. You're just dispensing energy in different directions, and it's not getting you anywhere. And for organizations, sometimes the things that you do might be categorized in different ways. You might think that you've given it your all, you sacrificed and all that, but to them you're just doing your day job. You're someone else can do what you're doing. You're indispensable, or you're not indispensable, if I'm correct. Yeah. So I think that for me, it just became a game of being selective. Yes, I could do it, but how does it uh move me forward? Does it move the needle for me? If it doesn't, then I can delegate it to somebody else who can do it. And I just focus more on the things that really mattered. And that's how that changed for me, because you realize that you just take on more than you can handle, because I think I can't remember if it was you. I was telling, I've passed that stage where I join an organization and I'm trying to impress. I don't care about impressing you.
Thumbs
I
up on
know
that.
you hired me because you thought that I could do the job. So why should I come in and beat myself up and try to do everything because I want to impress you? No, I'm going to do what I'm hired to do. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to make money for the organization. I'm going to do all the things that I promised to do in the interview, and nothing more, because it is that is focused. The person that's focused, that's able to even make clearer decisions and do better things than someone who's just everywhere.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anu. And I really love that. It comes with understanding your value and what you bring to the table. That
People.
point, nobody is able to push you around anymore. All right. Thank you. I woke up to one LinkedIn post this morning. I think it was very important. I'm like, I didn't bother to read the full body, but I just loved the headline. It says, "Be selfish with your career." I wish everybody would get to that point. Once you
Yeah.
know that, I
Yes.
don't use
Yeah.
the word, you're not indispensable. Organizations will move on with or without you. So please, I hope everyone on this call can hear some of those things and take time out to build yourself and also build an organization that can hire people. All right. So before we get so personal on that, because that can get very emotional and personal, we've had our different tastes of what that looks like. All right. So let's talk about practical wins that our audience can adopt immediately. So, what habit or system helped you the most in 2025? Something anyone listening today can adopt in the next 7 days to change the game for them. And this time, I want to switch to Anu.
Okay, so for me, one thing that really changed the game for me in 2025 was documentation. We usually talk about it and say, oh, write down the things that you do, have a weekly check-in with yourself, or document the things that you achieve. It became real in
Mm,
2025 because I joined a new organization, and when I joined, the expectations just kept increasing. It it was just never ending. And because I was able to document the things that I had agreed to, I was able to prove that this is okay, this is it, this is what we are working with. If you're bringing in new things, can we discuss it? Can we put a timeline around it? Can we work on their ability to even take in more things? So for me, it was documentation. It became my quiet superpower, because every week I was able to, there is this app on, so you don't need a fancy tool, just OneNote on Microsoft. It's on every Microsoft uh, laptop. You can just open it, and every week you can just document something that you've done, whether it's something that's part of your job description, or there was a time I helped my line manager do some process maps. It was just something she asked me to do, and I knew she was going to present it to our own manager. I documented it, and when it was time for review, I imputed it, and I'm sure she didn't remember, but she then came to say, "Oh, well done, thank you for this one and that one." I'm like, well, of course, because I could have forgotten, So that's thing. And one other thing, I also one habit was blocking time intentionally for learning every week, because you can so much get into the doing, just doing one thing or the other, that you don't really get to, and especially for senior roles, you just in meetings doing this and doing that, that you don't really get to take time to pour back into yourself, and keep yourself in the loop, or keep yourself in the loop of what is going on out there, in terms of course, technology is advancing every single day. And just that documentation helped me a lot. Sometimes it's just writing a clear summary after a meeting. What decision needs to be made as a result of this meeting. Not perfect, just something clear to me that I took out of that meeting, and like it can be useful for me in my work. So I'll say documentation.
That's beautiful. And I'm just here smiling because I'm putting together a whole podcast on the power of
Documentation.
documentation.
Yeah.
Like, that's how powerful it is. As little as taking a screenshot of what your boss said to you, so that in future it doesn't become your word against theirs. Very powerful. Thank you very much for leading us in that direction, Anu. Over to you, Ifunanya.
Talking about documentation, right? One thing I love that Anu said was that, she wrote it on the Microsoft OneNote, and then she sort of brought it again during the appraisal period, and the boss was like, oh, thank you for that and all. That is powerful. I think that I don't know how we got it wrong in the corporate workforce that at appraisals you have to fight for a job well done. I don't know how that happened. I thought at first that companies where you had to fight for such things were toxic until I realized that 95% of them. So I'm like, what's going on? I mean, it's from, I think, the structure, how they say, oh, only this number can be promoted this year, only this amount of bonus can be paid. So we all become people in a game of darts, right? So it's either you or that mini, money, more. So I'll just add to that. There was something that happened to me earlier this year. So somehow they decided that we should document on an Excel sheet, right?
Okay.
So every week we had to write down our task, and then on every Monday of the next week, we then grade how well it was completed and all that. I was like, this is so stressful. What is this? Until we continued it and all that. Then halfway during the 6-month appraisal period, I looked at all I had achieved. Because the good thing about this is that why I love it in an Excel sheet, right, is because there are color codes. So let's say task 1 is complete this tracker. Yeah. Task 2 is complete the report and all that. So it will be marked green,
Yeah.
yellow, whatever. Yellow means not completed, green. So imagine, right? If during your appraisal, you don't have these maybe 30 tasks. Now, in a week, we had as much as 5 tasks. So 5 times, let me say 25. If you have 125 tasks, just using 25 weeks, which is like 6 months or something like that. So you'll be having 125 tasks, all green, green, green. And then I love the part that you don't have to put your comment beside to say, I did not just do this report, I took it to XYZ department and ensured that it was executed before the deadline. It is crazy. So when I started doing my appraisal with 125 tasks completed, green, 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 with comments on how I went above and beyond, my God, people were just like, wow, wow, because other people didn't have it. I don't know why my line manager started to use that, but then I documented those Excel sheets with color codes and comments on how I did not just meet that goal, I went above it. That's number one. Number two, I'll say work harder on yourself than you do on your job. This is a very popular quote, but people do not take it to heart and they don't do it. So you realize that you spent 10 years working as an HR professional somewhere or working as a finance professional, and in those 8 years, you did not complete your CFA, you did not complete your Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers exam. Then you realize that somehow you've just fallen below the standard of your market or of your industry because you're just busy working out for the company, especially if they're not rewarding you well enough. So you feel you have to work harder and harder. Why not work just as hard on yourself? That way you have more options available, you have more places to pivot to if you decide to, right? That's number two. Then number three, how will I say this now? Show up as an expert before you become an expert.
Hmm.
How do I explain it now? Okay, so I have a lot of career coaches on my LinkedIn saying brand visibility, global, no, the word is global visibility, right? So you're this HR professional, but you do not show up on LinkedIn to give us HR advice. Why? Because now recruiters and companies have been saying, oh, send us your LinkedIn URL because they want to see what you're doing. So if you had been showing up like I'm now doing on AI, they're going to be like, oh, that's an AI professional. You would be more visible to more. I even had someone slide into my into my DM to say that they're looking for someone who can program in C sharp and ASP.NET. I'm like, yo, yo, yo. And she was from California. I'm like, yo, 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 guys, take it easy. Right now, I'm doing Python and SQL and Java. Just take it easy. So, yeah, it's because you're out there. So you have all sorts of ridiculous requirements from different recruiters who just need someone good, right? And then there is another one in which someone approached me to do some AI teaching and AI coach. So they were like, oh, I saw your video because I have videos on LinkedIn. It was very nice. It was very good. Please come teach my people this. This is what we're willing to pay. I'm like, of course. So before you know it, you're being invited to speak at panel sessions. You're being invited to do some brand collaboration. You're making a whole lot of money by building your personal brand. And now you're so visible that even in your company, like, oh, this has done so much for me. Even at where I work, they were like, oh, we need someone to do this green carpet thing. Green carpet is another name for red carpet, but now we're using some grass for it. So they're like, oh, she speaks so well, on her videos. Let's invite her to do the green. So it just opens many doors. Then you realize that, and this is just me working slightly. I'm not even working harder on myself yet. Then you know how much you work on your job. Imagine multiplying it by 2 times or 3, and all that. I'm not even doing that yet. And doors are opening. So trust me. These three
Amazing.
keys, right? First of all, I would say document on Excel or something that's clear. So you have the color codes on it, and then you have your comment on how you went above and beyond. That's number one. Then number two, build yourself more. Build yourself, take your exams, do all of that, like Anu said. Anu mentioned that. Take your exam, be sure that you are an expert on an industry level. Then while you're building that, before you become the expert, start talking on LinkedIn. Make the videos, put yourself, be visible on a global scale. 3 of these and you're good to go. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. And I'm sure that, people who are listening to this can easily pick, like, that was the concept of this question, something people can easily begin to work with. And Anna started on a very strong note, the power of documentation. Don't take don't take anything lightly. No, don't think that this one is too small. Why should I? No, everything is very important because they all
Yeah.
add up to the story, especially if you are thinking big picture. If you're thinking promotion, and I'm not surprised we had that conversation around promotion appraisals. These things are real, and if you don't have documented proofs to show that you are deserving of some of those things, it would as well pass you up. And that's how people have been passed up for promotions over the years. So thank you very much, Anu. And also, we cannot overemphasize the place of visibility in today's world. It's no longer a nice to have. It's no longer about you. I know a lot of people reason why they are not showing up where they should be showing up is because they are overthinking, and they are just all about themselves. They are wrapped up in themselves. If you don't show up, some people's destinies or some people's career would never happen. because some people need you as that reference point. Like, Aanu is showing up, Ifunanya started this, for them to feel like they can also do it, like their voice can also be heard globally. So that's why if you strip yourself all of those, who am I to speak, and switch that or reframe that to say, actually, who am I not to speak so people would listen? The world will be a better place for all of us. So thank you so much, my amazing guest. But there's something very important I want to say before we move into the next round of questions, which is that, of course, we live in a volatile world and a lot of things happen everywhere. I just want everybody to know, whoever will be watching this live or after now, that the opinions or the conversations that we are having here represent the opinions of my guests, their personal opinions, not of their employers or any organizations that they are associated with. These are our personal opinions, what we feel about this topic. So please take it as that. Thank you very much. Just needed to put that disclaimer out there. All right, so I'm enjoying this conversation so far, and somehow because of the platform we are using, I'm forgetting that people are joining us live, and we've had some beautiful comments in the comment box. So someone said it's been worth their time. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much, Blessing, for letting us know. We are glad that this has been worth your time, and you've been getting value from the conversation. So moving on to the next thing we have for today. Who is ready to talk about their mistake?
I should go
I know that
first.
most times a lot of us are super pumped when we want to talk about our success, our achievements. Nobody wants to look bad. Nobody wants to talk about their mistakes. But guess
Mistake.
what? We
Ah,
all learn from mistakes, actually. And that's one of the reasons for this podcast. So let's talk about our mistakes. What's that, biggest mistake for you in 2025? And how do you hope to do better going forward? Over to you, Ifnaya.
oh, okay, I mean, okay, what mistake would that be now? I think that one mistake that I made in 2025 was not listening to my inner voice. You know, when your spirit is telling you that it's time to maybe do something new, or it's time to improve yourself in one field or another, and then you just say, I have time. You don't have time. Look, the year is over. I mean, in January,
Right.
I can tell you so many things I planned I was going to do. So I'll add that,
Mm.
yeah, not listening to your inner voice, plus wasting time unnecessarily. You just keep saying, I'm going to do it next year, I'm going to do it next month. I wouldn't do that again. In fact, talking about documentation, I have written 12 goals for each of the months in 2026. Like January, February, back to back. I like to call it my master list. I have this master list. And I'm going to chase them all, accomplish them all. You know how I know that some of us here are Christians and all, but there is this particular quote about restoring the years the canker worm has eaten and all that. I mean, the best way to say it is if you think you've lost 10 years in your career doing the same thing and being stagnated, gain all of that back in 1 year. Boom, you can. So you sit down, write down goals. So if you plan to write CFA over like 3 years, make it 1 year. Do boom, 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 boom. At least you write maybe level one and level two, then you have one more to go, realistically speaking. But someone says that the reason why we take too long to accomplish very mediocre and small goals is because we keep thinking that we have time and that there's no rush anyway. Stop doing that. Because you notice some of those your classmates or those age mates of yours who have achieved great things, they saw it as if they did not have the time. Then boom, 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 boom. In 1 year, you could actually catch up with someone who has been ahead of you for the past 5 years if you put in the work. So no more little goals in 1 year. Exponentially shoot yourself above your usual achievements, and boom, you'd achieve it. So no more making the mistakes of thinking I have time or just staying stagnated for too long. Not anymore. I'm going to recover time. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. I love that perspective. Over to you, Anu.
Okay. I think my mistake is very different from my husband.
And I
And
love
my
it.
mistake,
Diversity. Yeah.
yeah, I think this year one thing I did not do quickly was to not speak up. So I stayed quiet for too long when something felt misaligned,
Mm,
and I was assuming that there was clarity when it was not explicitly agreed, and silence is still a decision. And it often costs you. If you keep quiet, your if I give a bit of context without giving too much away. So I experienced some moments of misaligned expectations. So where expectations were not directly expressed, but they were sort of expected. And I had to call it out when I began to, get demands for some things. And I'm like, no, we did not discuss that. That was not part of the initial conversation. But because I had kept quiet, it was assumed that there was clarity. Meanwhile, there wasn't. So, uh, in fact, for timelines, deadlines, some ownership boundaries, things that was just expected of me without being explicitly stated or agreed upon. And that lesson, you know, the lesson was that clarity must be created. You have to be intentional about creating that clarity. Don't assume that you are on the same page. And one early sign to look out for is when people nod, but then they later ask the same question again. So you know that, okay, we are not on the same page. Because if you nodded, I thought that you agreed, and then you come back to ask me the same question, or when yourself you start to rationalize discomfort instead of addressing it. So you know that it's something. Most times when you feel that there's something is not right, something is actually not right, and you should speak up
Mm.
at that moment. It's better to speak up early and understand, okay, this is not as we have agreed, than to keep quiet and then later on, you were like, oh, so why didn't you speak up? Oh, so why didn't you, ask questions? So I think that was something that I learned in 2025.
Amazing. And I really love it. There's so much power in speaking up.
Yes.
Because silence can be consent,
Mm-hmm.
like you said. Whereas what you really want is inside of you, you're not saying it out. And the fact that you kept quiet, it means that you agree. So there is power in speaking out, even if your voice is shaking. And I know that happens to a lot of us.
Yes.
even when even when your voice is shaking, even when it feels awkward, and if you're starting to speak out, if you're starting your speak out journey, you would realize that at the beginning stage it feels very awkward, that your voice is the only one, in the room, or that you're holding a position. Yes, the more you do it, the better you would become. So forget all of those awkwardness, stick to what is very important. That opinion or that thing that you need to share is very important. Somebody needs to hear it. It will change the game for you, either in the moment or in the future. So it will not become, but you nodded your head. Like, I love that description you gave, about nodding and then coming back to ask the same question. Wow. As in, that was very so real,
Yeah.
and it happens a lot. So I hope people have picked up that lesson, and that was a fantastic one from you as well, Ifunanya, about not waiting to the last minute, about doing things intentionally the first time, and not waiting until such a time as when you have everything you need. There's never a time that you will have everything you need.
Never.
If you don't start, you won't even realize what you need. If you don't start, you wouldn't realize how to even correct your mistakes and then get better from there. So please, whatever it is that you've been putting up for so long, that you're waiting for such a time where the grass is green, you have that full conviction that this is the time. Please, this is your
Uh,
sign to get started, and there's no better time. I mean, 2026 is almost here, to start looking back into some of those things that you've been pushing from year to year, and just get it started, and start anyway, and learn along the line to fine-tune your process, to improve your process and get better. All right, thank you very much. I really love that round. All right. So moving on, we have just our time is fast spent, but even though we started this a bit late, so would take back some of the time. I hope that's okay for you guys.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Awesome. All right. So what are you intentionally leaving behind in 2025? And I know these questions are intertwined, but trust me, repetition is for the purpose of emphasis. Sometimes people need to hear some of those things over and over again, and then sometimes it helps you to remember some experiences that you didn't share before, and then you can add it to the conversation.
Mommy, my head's getting spicy.
I'll go.
Okay, yeah,
I think I'll go first with that
sure.
question. So I think I alluded to it earlier.
Mhm.
One thing I'm leaving behind in 2025 is over explaining myself to earn approval. I'm not going to do that anymore.
I feel your
If
pain
I'm
there. I feel
if
your
I'm in a
pain.
room, or if I'm
Yeah.
sitting at a table, it's
Hmm.
because I deserve to be in that on that table.
Oh,
I'm not going
lovely.
to explain why I'm there, because if I'm there, if I'm in the room, then I've earned the right to be in the room. So that also leads me to leaving behind over functioning for everyone else, all often stepping into rescue timelines, when things are falling apart because they know that you are the efficient one. They bring it to you because, oh, you jump on everything, you can do everything.
Yeah.
That is not going to happen in 2026. Newsflash. I'm going to stick to stick to the things that I own, and I release unnecessary emotional and mental load. Boundaries are very good. I stick to my boundaries. I'll enforce that by sticking to my boundaries. And if something is not my own, I can support it, but I would not carry it. I would not own it. I'll give my support. This is how much bandwidth I have to support, but don't make it my own, because I'm not going to be over functioning for everyone else in 2026.
Wonderful. And before I even answer, right, let me ask you a question. Why did you need to over explain? Was it required? Were they looking at you in some way? If I would
Yeah,
understand.
sometimes it just, because if you step into a new environment, you
Mm-hmm.
people are under pressure naturally to just, want to do a lot of things to compensate, because people don't know where you're coming from, they don't know your
Yeah.
history. So you want to, overcompensate for all of those things to say, oh, I want to be seen as this, as that, as this, you know and I've just realized
Interesting.
that it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any
Mm.
sense. I'm sure I was the top applicant, and that's why I'm here. So if I'm in the room, I earn the right to be in the room. I don't have to do anything extra to prove to you that I deserve to be in the room. And I've just realized, I think it just dawned on me that really it doesn't, because sometimes it might not be that someone has looked at me in a particular way. It just means that there are so many things that are coming to me, in terms of maybe tasks have been assigned to you. And because you don't want to be seen a particular way, you take everything. You're trying to just, oh, I can do this, I can do that. But then it's uncomfortable. You're drowning.
You
Do you
are.
understand? That's a way of over
Drowning.
explaining yourself, because you
Drowning.
want to be seen as efficient, you want to be seen as this. Sometimes it's trauma.
Mm.
you know
Yeah. And then
it's
sometimes,
trauma because you feel like, oh, you have to, show up, you have to be a
um,
particular way. But for some people, you approach them and say, oh, can you do this? They're like, oh, I'm going to check my. I remember something like that happened in November, and that was because I'm a lead. So
yeah.
I'm supposed to be able to delegate to other people, and then I get dragged into some things to say, oh, can you do this? I'm like, okay, I'm going to check my capacity. If I have room for it, I'll take it on. If not, I'm sorry, I can't. Or if it's not urgent, I can, do it later. It's with confidence and with no guilt that I said it.
Nice. Nice
And
one.
the heaven did not fall. The work got done by someone else.
Well done. Well
Yeah,
done.
so
Well done.
it just because in the climate that we are in,
Mm-hmm.
we are not in our, father or motherland. So we kind of try to compensate for
I
some
see.
things,
I
if you
see.
understand where I'm coming from. But that's not happening anymore.
Good.
That's not happening with me
Good.
anymore. So
Good.
yeah, that's
You,
where I
you
went.
know, now that you're saying it reminds me of something, right? I'm like,
You want to chime
I
in?
am a brown skin girl. Yeah, I guess it's my turn. Okay,
Go
Jumoke,
ahead.
it's okay. I'm a brown skin girl. How can you tell if I'm originally Nigerian or Black American? I could be Black American, so I don't see Black American coming to say, "Oh, I am an American in Canada, so I should work twice as hard." Yeah, but we from Africa, we feel like, "Oh, we have to do more." Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. And then, if they see the layoff, they still lay off the immigrants first, I guess, regardless of how hard you've worked. Okay, very interesting conversation. Then,
Very
for me to answer the
interesting.
question, by the way, one thing I'm leaving behind is undervaluing my expertise. So,
Hmm.
hmm, about this is a big
Hmm.
because when I pivoted into AI, right, and started learning how to build all of these apps and all that, I began to, first of all, check what jobs were available on LinkedIn, Upwork, and I saw that on Upwork, people were saying, "Oh, we're going to pay you $100 to build an app." Who? Who are you going to pay $100 to do what? So no freaking way. Like, people will take those jobs to say, "Oh, let me at least get the experience." No, dear brother, sister, African boy, wherever you're from. No, because the fact is that when there is an oversupply of something, then that thing becomes cheap. It's economics. So if we have
Yeah.
too many of us professionals valuing ourselves cheap, that's what you're gonna be paid. So you
Yeah.
go on there, if you do not take that job, and all of us as professionals refuse to take that $100 job, the person would up it to 1,000 and then
Mm.
10,000. And then depending on how difficult the job is. So I wouldn't do that, right? And then that's just on Upwork. You have also some of these jobs that say, well, because you guys are from, because as an AI professional, you could work remotely from Africa for companies in the US, in the UK, wherever. Yeah. So you then see them saying, well, for regions in North America, we're going to pay like $50. For all other regions, $17. Hello, I'll scroll past that job. Because
Really?
you guys are already segregating us, telling us things like, well, in your country of birth, things are more affordable. Your what now? Your currency has less value. Please do not add to the economical problems in my home country. Right, which is why
Hmm.
I love platforms like Crossover that say, for everyone from whatever region,
Yeah.
it's the same $100,000 or so. Yes, of course, I'll take those kind of jobs. Because what if I decide to migrate tomorrow? And then you refuse to pay me what you pay people in North America, even though I've now moved to North America. The difference is the unfair treatments are just too much. I mean, nature has already dealt with us because we're dealing with corrupt leaders and dealing with all these problems that come with being rich countries, but who have poor people, rich countries that have poor people. We already have so many problems. Do not add to our problems. So I'm not undervaluing myself anymore. I'm leaving all of that behind to say, if I'm worth $100 in the US, pay me $100, even though I'm working from Nigeria, because I have to source my own 24 hours electricity. I have to buy
Yeah.
Elon Musk Petranet now because my internet has to
Okay.
be strong. So
Okay.
I have what to purchase. Thank you.
I love this conversation and pardon the break in between. You know how life happens.
Yeah, that's fine.
Life happened to me in between this conversation, but I'm glad I'm here now. But I really love what I'm hearing you both share, in regards to that question. I know you spoke about establishing boundaries at work, and I think that's really powerful. And you got a wonderful comments to that from Precious Girl who said everyone should learn this. I'm not going to
Mm.
overstate it because I think you killed it already. So please learn how to define your boundaries at work. It's very important. And also, of course, if they are telling us, pay me what I deserve, and
Yeah.
for you to be able to lay claim on that, you first need to understand your value. If you do not
Mhm.
understand your value, then people are going to underprice you. So you need to be able to put a value on yourself and say, you know what, I'm not going to take anything less. And I think those are really beautiful points for people to take away from this conversation today. All right. So as we wrap up, two last questions to go. All right. So, what's one skill you think will matter more? I'm sure you guys would expect that this question would come because, of course, at this time of the year, people are thinking, what is that thing that is booming? Even though I'm not for that, it's not about trend. You need to understand, where you are and all that. But what's one skill that you think will matter even more in 2026, regardless of your job type or your industry, and how people can begin to, position themselves or learn that skill? Ifunanya.
Okay. I'd say analytical thinking with AI
Mm,
leverage, right? Because regardless of your HR or finance or operations, there are ways that you could first of all sit down and re-engineer your job. Right? Ask yourself, how can this be made easier and faster? Because sometimes we get stuck in the traditional ways that we have done them for the past 10 years. We're not being analytical. Because I do not also subscribe to using AI blindly to just regurgitate stuff that are going to be plagiarized and then you pass them on to your boss. No, that's not smart. So
mhm.
first of all, analyze your work. Ask yourself how AI can be used more, be it ChatGPT or cloud, or ask them if they're to do your job, how would they do it? Let them teach you, right? So you take that, you analyze it properly, you decide to step it up. You will see that most of the jobs that you would usually take you 3 hours will now take you 30 minutes because you're leveraging AI more. A typical example I would use is something like preparing monthly reports, right? So let's say that you normally take reports from different departments or from different projects and then just process them and then do all the manual things. Just gather them together, have AI process them for you. Then you will be evaluating the output of the AI rather than doing the manual work for yourself. And then after doing that, you still evaluate your work. It's just too much. So let AI do the manual stuff, the first step, of the process, and then you evaluate its work, then you improve upon it. That way you have an edge over everyone else doing what you're doing wherever they are, and even more than your team members. And you're doing it at a higher level now because you're critiquing AI and making AI's work better. So that's the
Mhm.
way I would suggest this to everyone, regardless of your field. Thank you.
Amazing. So analytical thinking with AI leverage. Love
Yes.
it. Thank you so much. Over to you, Anu.
Very similar to what I was going to say. So for me, I call it structured thinking or sense making in a
Wow.
world with data and AI. I mean, I have background in data science, AI, MBA, whatever, hands-on data work. And I've seen this clearly. Yes, AI can generate outputs, but humans still need to decide what matters. They still do need to decide what is compliant and what is actionable. So even though AI can generate the content, it cannot replace clear thinking. It cannot replace the place of a leader who, I know leaders have different ways in which they frame problems and solve problems. That uniqueness of being able to sense make, the information that you have to be able to make better decisions. I think that that's a skill that everybody has got their hands on an AI tool in today's world. But how well can you use it? How can you take the output from that AI and turn it into an input for your own work? Because that's what it is. You can't just take the output from AI and then that's it. That's the input, in my own opinion. It's the input. It's what is your raw data. It's what you're working with. So you have to be able to sense make whatever it is that you have generated from AI that then helps you to make better decisions. Is it being able to explain systems or complex ideas to non-technical people? That's something I do on a day to day because I work with people who are not necessarily technical, but you have to be able to make sense of what you're talking about so that they can understand what you're saying, and it's a win-win for you if they understand it, and if they don't, you're dragging yourself back. So I think that that ability to be able to understand and break things down, so it's not garbage in garbage out, oh, just churn it out and then you just take it out there. You need to be able to turn that data into not just insights but implications. What does this mean if we implement this? What are the, being having foresight to say, if we do option A, what are the outcomes? If we go for option B, what are the outcomes? If we do nothing, what are the outcomes? Being able to provide those kind of options just by using the available information that you have, you know, to you.
Amazing, amazing. And I feel like that needs to be added to whatever list of skills, that the
Right.
future of work is putting together for 2026. The ability to sense make AI, because I think that's where the gap is, and that cannot be
Mm.
overemphasized. I hope that people are listening to this and taking feedback. Thank you so much, ladies. As we round up on today's edition, let me ask you, the final question, and I'm going to be posing this to Ifunanya first. So, what is that one career lesson that you want to leave with people, that you've learned in the course of this year? One career lesson.
Okay, one career lesson I would, or one career advice I would give
Career
is,
advice, yes.
yeah, career advice is your success in your career is 100% your responsibility. Do not value loyalty over progress. Some people would say, "Oh, I love this company. I've been here for years, so I'll just keep working and then hopefully someday they'll promote me." Do not self-sabotage, right? Your career growth is 100% your responsibility. Take it seriously. Make it your business. If you're not getting promoted every 2 years, that's not good. If you're stuck in a role for 5 years, you're not doing well. Level up. And remember to play your global visibility game. Put yourself out there. More doors would open up for you. If you feel that, oh, I've been applying, I've not gotten anything, put yourself out there, build your personal brand, have a side hustle. Nigerians always say we have side hustles, right? So you don't know which one would work best in your favor. So work hard on yourself, keep pushing for career growth, and it would come. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anu, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, so I will go in the line of confidence. I would say that confidence, it's not a feeling, because most times we like to want to feel confident before we do something. But confidence is a visible behavior. You have to, action precedes confidence. You have to take the step, and then you maybe start to feel confident. But you need to move first. You don't wait until you feel confident before you set out to do what you need to do. It's like driving a car. You're driving a car in the dark, but you have your headlights. You can't really see your destination, but you can see a few meters away. You don't park your car and just say, oh, I'm not going nowhere because I can't see where I'm going, but you can see a few meters away. So you keep moving meter by meter, and then you get to your destination. You don't feel confident, that you can see maybe a mile away, but because you can see the next step, you take it, and then you move, and then you take it. So confidence grows not just from hype, but from saying things, doing things, running sessions despite your initial uncertainty of, oh, how it's going to turn out, or even in meetings, people should stop saying, oh, what do you think I should do? Say things like, this is what I recommend. It's a recommendation. You can take it or leave it. It's not just accepting that not knowing everything, it doesn't reduce your credibility. You don't have to know everything. You can go into session to say, oh, this is what I know, can you confirm my knowledge? You don't have to say, oh, I don't know anything about this thing, and just go there and talk down on yourself, because it's the way you talk to yourself that others are going to talk to you. So you have to, go in real life examples. I would say, ask clarifying questions when you don't know, without apologizing for asking those questions. Because, yeah, just say, confirm that I'm correct, or confirm that this is the way the process is, just confirming my knowledge here. And just saying, I don't know yet, but I'll find out, without panic, without looking like, oh, you failed, because you don't have to know everything, and it doesn't reduce your credibility. So I'll say confidence looks like calm execution. Just calmly, sometimes I'm on calls and I don't know what they're talking about. But I'm taking notes and I'm saying, okay, 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 we're gonna do it this way. Okay, I'll get back to you on that. You're not there just looking downcast and like, oh, what am I doing here? You're still making conversations, you're still engaging, and then you go back after that call, you do the work, and then the next time you show up, you are better prepared, you have more information, more knowledge, you can engage better. But in that call, nobody knows that you didn't know what they were talking about, because you were not saying, "Oh, what do I do?" You're saying, "Oh, this is what I recommend." Oh, from what you said, I hear you say this. Can we do this? Do you understand what I'm saying? So confidence is not waiting to have a feeling of, yes, I can do this now. Like you said earlier, Ifunanya, where you said you don't wait until you're an expert before you step out. Absolutely, because If you wait until you go out, there's something called the first mover advantage. Someone else has gone out. They've seen that
Yes.
person, they've seen their growth. You are waiting to perfect it. And then by the time you perfected it, I don't know, it's no longer as much demanded as it was when you were still working on yourself. So I'll say 2026, just go for it.
These ladies are splitting fire today.
Fire. Thank you.
Fire, fire. And I love it. There's no better way to round up this session. Like showing up confidently. Don't wait until you feel like it. Life is going to pass you by. There are a lot of, people who don't know half the things that you do or that but they are showing up. I don't know how much
Yeah.
people accept this saying that fake it till you make it.
Thank you.
Um, I don't know your personal opinions about it. People might have different opinions about it, but somehow I've seen that it works for people because if you continue, especially in this world that we live in today, in this world of AI, in this world of internet, if you continue to show yourself as a particular thing over a period of time,
Mm-hmm.
perception,
Yeah.
people will begin to see you as that thing. All
Fine.
right. So
Yeah.
please, if you do not take anything away from this session today, learn to show up confidently. And of course, we're not saying show up confidently and not, taking the time to unlearn, relearn, and showing up better.
Mhm.
But when you start to
Yeah.
show up, that's when you would even know where your gaps are, and then you can fix
Ah.
them and show up even better. And I just want to round up with one other story to collaborate to balance this up. I can't find the right word I was looking for there. When and this was even many years ago, and if not, this was where we met, the organization where we used to work together, and there's something they used to do back in the day that they called um when they are confirming you, confirmation interview.
Confirmation.
That's the word, confirmation interview. And I
Yeah.
had read, I had prepared, I've done everything, I'd crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's, and then I showed up for that meeting. And they asked me one particular question and I couldn't respond. And I just said it confidently that if you would give me time to go back and research more on that, I'm sure that by the next time you're asking me this question, I would be able to. And that was my pass. Other people that we went in for that, session together had to go and do it all over again just because they
Wonderful
couldn't answer,
response.
just because they got
Wonderful.
stuck on one question. But I was able, and I didn't even know all of this principle then, but that's how I just felt in that meeting. And I said it that if you give me time to go and research this question, I am sure the next time you would ask me, I would say it.
Lovely.
That's how I move. So please don't show up like you don't know, because you actually do know. You actually
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
do. And like Anu said, calm execution, paying attention to yourself, shining in your area of strength, understanding where it is that you have a strong voice, and honing into that, it will make a very big difference for you. Thank you so much everyone for joining us on this session today. It's been amazing,
Yep.
right, ladies?
Yes, it is. Yes.
It's been amazing. I'm sure that if people, who would watch this later would just put into practice half of, a few of the things that we've shared today, 2020, by the time we're doing our career lessons for 2026, we'll probably be in the comment section saying, you know what, I listened to that video and it changed the game
Mhm.
for me in 2026.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of stories that we are looking to hear. All right. So if this session triggered something in you, if you're able to bet things, please reach out to us. Would love to hear from you. And you can do that by sending me a DM on Instagram, and our Instagram handle is Strive Careers Hub on Instagram. And you can also reach me over email, olajimoke.lawal.k@gmail.com. Would like to hear from you. And I would also like to give this opportunity to my guests to share where people can connect with them. Maybe you've shared something that people would like for you to, tell them more about. If you're open to that, you can quickly in 30 seconds each, let people know where they can find you. If now, let's start with you.
All right, you can find me on LinkedIn. Hephzber Ifunanya Obiorah is my name on LinkedIn, and I have a newsletter titled "Learn AI with Hephzibah." So I'll be happy to take all your AI career-related questions and any other questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anu.
Yeah. So it's easy. Aanu Owolabi on LinkedIn. That's my handle. If you have any questions relating to business analysis, I'm your go-to person. So just hit me a DM and I'll be happy to help.
Thank you very much. Don't mind the fact that she just said that in a very cool way. She's a business analyst guru, and please reach out to her. She is a mentor in that space. And of course, Ifunanya doing amazing work in the world of HR. AI, pardon me, I'm so much in love with HR. Ifunanya doing amazing work in the world of AI. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Bye.